They looked around and realized the women that they were making all this money for don't actually need anyone to provide for them. So here's what they started doing. They started treating partnerships like portfolio diversifications because that's all they know. Why commit to one when the market says you can have many options? There is no social penalty for situationships or having a big roster. And let's be really clear, these men are not confused and they are not stuck and they know what they're doing. And the women, they're left holding the bag and wondering why they did all this work and why the men that are supposed to choose them aren't choosing them.
Shut up. Just shut up.
Most of you, not all, but 99% of the women who are 53 and older, specifically 53, 55, 57, 59, 61, 64, in those age brackets, have been the most challenging for me to coach because the standards are unrealistically high.
I'm afraid she has a point.
What up, gents? Welcome to TSG Uncut. I'm your host, Shaun C. In the opening clip, you saw a part of a clip that I showed you in last week's video about older women. The reason why we're talking about this again today, because I have 3 videos that I'm going to review today, one of which is going to show a matchmaker saying that she doesn't want to deal with older women anymore because they are unrealistic in what they're looking for. Additionally, in the opening clip, that woman tried to imply that the problem was that men are players, that all men are players. And it's the same conclusion that one woman had to move away from after having polled and asked us. And last but not least, Jada Pinkett Smith has made her way back into the news. She does a great job of proving why it is so hard dealing with older modern women today. Listen, I'm not gonna keep y'all long, but we do have a lot to discuss. So do me a favor, hit that like button. And with that being said, let's get started. I have 2 videos from the channel Beast Mode Smooth. Shout out to that brother for that content. But what I wanted to cover is what this woman says. Listening to what she says sounds exactly like what the older woman in the opening clip said.
Probably like a couple of months ago, I asked a question only because me and somebody else was having this conversation. Me and a male friend of mine, and he told me that as a woman, if you meet a man that don't have nobody, like nobody around at all, nobody he's sleeping with, nobody he's seeing, more than likely he crazy. Something is wrong with him.
That was a dude told her that, right? I want y'all to clearly understand that a man told her that the reason is that a dude would have to be crazy. Ladies, y'all have to understand something. Y'all gonna have men around your orbit that you cool with, giving you advice, telling you the tea. And even some of those dudes aren't giving you the full tea about it because maybe they like you. Maybe when they talk to their female friends, they don't like to see none of their female friends with a dude. Or the dude is just a hater. There's a bunch of them haters out there too. The ones who will say anything to pander to a woman. But this woman isn't done, because what she's gonna wind up telling us is that she actually decided to take this conversation online, and the answer she got was completely different.
So I asked the question for men only, and some of y'all women answered. But anyway.
Not shocked.
And some of the men answered, no, we just, want peace. And my thinking was that men, you done did all your cheating and hurt women and then ran through different women. Now y'all get older. Now you want to sit down somewhere and find peace in a woman when you've never provided peace.
That's not true. That's not true at all. Some men might have been players and they ready to settle down, but you have to understand that part of it is also that those men had people they fell for. Women that they tried to change their ways for. And the woman wasn't ready. If you've had that issue, let me know down in the comments below. The other thing that tends to happen is that men will put you in a box. Men will understand who you are and your value. And when you say, oh, well, he going around and playing, whatever, sometimes the value you give to that man is you're not a wife. You're not somebody I'm going to settle down with. So yeah, I don't take this relationship serious. I don't take this serious. This had, just like y'all do to us. When a woman meets a man, in her head, she kind of knows how far she would see it going. This, at least is what I was told by the women in my family. Us men, we kind of do the same thing, whether we realize it or not. Initially, if we're talking to you, we find some type of sexual attraction to you, or at least we want to. Or a guy is trying to find out what kind of qualities that you actually have. We know exactly what box to put you in. It has nothing to do with whether you're going to give it up or not, because there are women who would give it up quickly and actually would be more of a wife than some of the ones who decide they're going to wait. Because at least one woman is real about what she wants. The other woman thinking that not sleeping with you is going to change or, her healing era. And that's just a lie.
But that was my way of thinking, because of experiences I've had. And so I owe y'all an apology. Nope, some of y'all just like us, just because you choose not to be in a relationship does not mean that you can't find anybody, that don't nobody want to be with you.
Right.
It's just that sometimes you choose yourself over everything else.
I want to transition to the matchmaker who says she's done dealing with older modern women because they're hard to deal with. They're hard to match.
So I was talking to a male friend of mine the other day, and he told me that women don't apologize and women can't be held accountable. And I began to really think deeply about this idea. And one of the things that came across my mind is, in the last 9 months or so of me being in my private practice, I have myself experienced many women, whether they came as a couple or they came by themselves, they very abruptly discontinued their therapy. I noticed that after I had to confront them about something, I had to bring to their attention something they were doing that wasn't contributing to the health of the relationship,
right.
They became very defensive and very, just very harsh, and they stopped coming.
This is exactly what I've talked about on previous episodes. Women nowadays will bring men to therapy. Most men don't think about going there. Let's go to couples therapy. Men don't be thinking about that shit. Women usually suggest couple therapy because they want someone to tell you that you're wrong and not really take accountability for how they're making you feel. Everything is about how they feel in a relationship. They never take into account how you feel. And I'm saying how you feel, not to mention when you logically tell her, hey, this don't make sense. Well, I feel like you're doing this. And then I've even had one of my exes tell me, like, you can't argue my feelings. Well, you're right. I can't argue what you feel, but that shit is dumb.
Single women who are over 50 years old who have been reaching out to me for wife coaching tips, I'm no longer taking them. Don't pay the money through my website because I'm just going to refund it to you. I've had a couple of experiences this week, and here's why. Most of you, not all, but 99% of the women who are 53 and older, specifically 53, 55, 57, 59, 61, 64, in those age brackets have been the most challenging for me to coach because the standards are unrealistically high. I get that you're old school and I get that your mom raised you to only interact with gentlemen, but most of the men who do all of the stuff that you're wanting are dead, or they're not don't laugh! Looking for 55 or 57-year-old women. There are some younger men who do that. You don't want an old man because he can't perform in bed. Well, the younger men don't want an older woman because some of you have arthritis. Some of you have missing teeth. You have gray hair. You have grandkids. Like, you got to be realistic and balanced in your thinking.
Oh, no, I can't date a man that's a workaholic, but yet you want a man to have money. Men who have money are workaholics. Clue, boo clue. This is the booze clues. Men who have money work hard for their money. You cannot complain about a man being a workaholic if you want him to have money. I hope that is sinking in for somebody. That's a booze
It's probably
clue
not
for you. Okay?
So I wanted to show you that right now it is tough for these women to find matches for older women because no one has held them accountable. There's a reason that they're single. A lot of the women had dudes that they possibly could have been with. They decided to get divorced because that man wasn't doing what she wanted to do, what she wanted him to do. and they end up getting a divorce. Or that man couldn't take her shit no more, and he decided to move on. The demands of these women, instead of just being chill, they can't do that shit. They can't leave well enough alone. So now that we've heard these matchmakers, these therapists, we're going to look at Jada Smith. I know we're tired of talking about her, but you got to understand this same mindset is the mindset that a lot of these older modern women have.
As time went on, there were different stages in my marriage where Will and I decided we were not together, where we didn't tell the public.
But look at you not telling the public.
I was actually thinking about divorcing, separating. I mean, there have been several of those. And where we've gone and lived our separate lives. So I think within that is where people might have thought that, oh, they must be having an open relationship. And we just didn't want people to know the dynamic of what was happening between us. We didn't think that that was anybody else's business.
So that's an interesting perspective because it actually makes a lot of sense. Now, on my bookshelf, you can't see it down there, but that's Will Smith's book. And for Will, having a family was so important to him. And in the first wife, it didn't work out. But when he saw Jada, he loved her unconditionally in a way we would probably call him being a simp over this woman. But that's his wife. The difference is that his wife probably never really loved him that way. She felt that way about Pac though, didn't she? But so now that makes sense. Because for Will, he didn't want to see his family broken up. He talks about it in the book. Listen, you're going to be in a relationship and there's going to be times you're just not happy. And it is not the responsibility of your spouse to try to create that happiness within you that's lacking. So I'm sure Will was probably like, listen, do what you got to do. Let's not get divorced and find your happiness. And he even talked about that. Will on his 50th birthday was doing skydiving, doing all kind of different things because he was finding happiness doing other things. She couldn't find it. What did she go to? She went to the one thing that a lot of women go to, and that's, I'm gonna bust it wide open my legs, and be a 304.
Y'all ever be so tired of somebody that you've never met a day in your life? That's how I feel about Jada Pinkett. That's how I feel about her. Because when I have time that I don't need to think about important things, I reflect on her. So out of everything that man has gone through for defending you with your alopecia at an award show, he ain't been right since.
No.
You decide to do an interview and tell the world that y'all been separated since 2016.
Yeah.
Talking about y'all was trying to figure out how to just exist with one another, but y'all ain't never filed a divorce. You have humiliated that man.
Every step.
Talking about an entanglement with a child.
Yeah.
You done gave him 2 children and turned them into Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. He done sat up there and punched a fellow colleague for you.
Yeah.
For your birthday, you post Tupac. You writing letters to Tupac. You got your children talking to the ghost of Tupac. And now you doing an interview talking about y'all been separated since 2016. But you weren't so separated that you came up out that house that he got.
Yeah.
You weren't so separated that you were going on the trips that he provided. You weren't so separated that he allowed you to shoot your show, give you a job, something to do with your time. Because I ain't seen you in now movie, I think, since The Matrix. He even put you in one of his movies, Muhammad Ali movie. And now you still embarrassing this man.
But this is why men don't want to deal with older women. Because if you can't, if that woman can't deal with her own man, if she's difficult for the man that she had that was damn near a perfect ass dude prior to him slapping Chris Rock, could do no wrong. Think about it. Will Smith was the king of the summertime. I mean, not even just the movies, but the songs too. The beats in your car. All of that, nothing. His Oscar is just a footnote in time that nobody will even fucking talk about, probably not even remember.